Hello, we're live. This is good. Welcome to a Pep Talk presentation. This is a promotional presentation by myself, Pepper, also known as Peter Resson. A bit of background information on me, just before we kick off, is I am a information security corporate trainer and consultant, as well as an ex-bartender, believe it or not, and cocktail trained. And at the moment, I am looking to promote a series of events based in Manchester that will teach you a plethora of skills, the basics of which will teach you a little bit about spirits and ideally how they're made and what goes into them and that kind of thing. But also, as a bonus, you also will be getting basic drawing skills, how to draw figure drawing, and also gaming skills, as well as what was the last thing I was going to do? It was gaming skills, drawing skills. Oh, you're gonna learn a language. That was it. That's like one of the big things. So yeah. So essentially, what these events are going to try and do, it's going to be like experience day package. Still looking for venues at the moment. We've got our eye on one, but I can't really disclose that yet because it's not really confirmed. However, the whole theme of these events will be the fact that you come in, you learn a bit about spirits, you learn a bit about the language behind the spirit, because every spirit has a country of origin that it hails from historically. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get you the top 100 practical words to learn in that language, and we're going to come up with little fun ways for you to remember them, and then that's something you can take away. As well as this, we've also got life drawing classes, as well as mixology classes, and possible gaming tuition if we can manage to get a casino on board. That is kind of where we're going for with this, but if not, then there'll still be a whole lot to do. There'll still be a ridiculous amount. So this is the presentation that I'll be going through at one of our trial events to see what the market thinks of it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to go through half the presentation, just the intro. And then what I'm going to do is maybe on another broadcasting, I'm going to go through some of the words for the language we've chosen. The spirit of choice for this particular broadcast will be Belvedere Vodka. Belvedere Vodka is our unofficial sponsor for this broadcast. So what we're going to try and do, we're going to try and get you speaking a bit of Polish at our events, not necessarily on this. We're going to talk a bit about the history of Belvedere and what they've been getting up to, but if you come to our events, you'll get to learn a bit of the Polish language behind Belvedere Vodka. So, that being said, we'll push on. My name is Peter Resson. I'm founder of the Fortuna group. Fortuna group, we do consultancy basically for private and public companies, and we also tackle the areas of training and development as a key thing, but we also do stuff like assurance, auditing, that kind of stuff. But training and development is our main thing. A bit of brand awareness as well. Like I said, I'm an ex-bartender, but I'm also an ex-life model. So, I say ex-life model. I still do life modeling for hen parties and that kind of stuff. But so life drawing, a model for that. But yeah, and people call me Peps, short for Pepper. So yeah, this is an official pep talk. So I'm gonna quickly see if I can play you one of the promotional vids we've got for Belvedere. I'm not sure whether the mic will be loud enough. I might have to redo this, but we'll see whether this works. So if this lets me.
Vodka's birthplace is Poland. Belvedere Vodka hails from the small Polish town of Żydardów in the Mazovian Plain, an area renowned for excellent rye. Belvedere, the world's first super premium vodka, uses local ingredients to maintain the authentic character of vodka established over 7 centuries ago. Pomo Żydardów, our distillery, has been producing exceptional vodka since 1910. Belvedere was first created here in 1993. Belvedere Vodka is named after the Royal Belvedere Palace in Warsaw. The name means beautiful to see, which is also what many people say about our bottle. An avenue of silver birch trees lines the entrance to the Royal Belvedere Palace. Belvedere is made from Dankowski Gold Rye, a rich and full-flavoured grain cherished for its soft, sweet taste. An optimum number of 4 distillations gives Belvedere the perfect balance of elegance and character. Water from Pom Moshadadov's proprietary source gives the vodka a crisp backdrop. Belvedere's 11-step process ensures that the water remains naturally soft and additive-free. To add elegance and structure, Belvedere vodka is filtered twice, once through premium cellulose and once through activated charcoal. Each strip stamp is applied by hand, guaranteeing that every bottle is carefully checked before being shipped all over the world.
So yeah, that's one of the promotional videos for Belvedere. You can find that on YouTube, also, as well as a whole lot of other promotional videos for them. But that's just a general overview of the Belvedere vodka, the unofficial sponsor for this, and what they're about, a bit of their history. And we'll go into a couple more details about identifying spirits and some of the process later. However, I've quickly got to apologise for the place where I'm recording this. There's a lot of sirens going off. Like, for some reason, down my road, there's always a lot of police sirens and ambulance sirens. I'm not sure if that's just me or if anyone else has noticed that this year. Like, the sirens kicking off everywhere. I do live quite close to a hospital, so that could be it. So that kind of counts for the ambulance sirens, but police sirens, it still gets me. I don't know. Maybe crime's on the up, but I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. But as far as so I have to apologise for that in general. If I can, I'll try and cut it out. But if for whatever reason I can't, or it happens abruptly and I'm sort of mid-flow, yeah, sorry about that. So cool. So now we're just going to quickly go to the next slide. So again, our example partners, our example brand is Belvedere Vodka. Belvedere Vodka is owned by LVMH, also known as the Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton company, that is headquartered in France. This company is best known for their premium brands in fashion, cosmetics, and of course alcoholic beverages, and owns the world-class internationally recognized vodka brand known as Belvedere. So when it comes to vodka, the basics that we need to know to start off when it comes to vodka is vodka is traditionally made in the countries of both Russia and Poland. So for this broadcast, we'll be concentrating on the Polish aspects of vodka. However, vodka is produced all over the world, really. You've got places in a lot of Eastern European countries still, but it can be made anywhere. It's produced in places like Latvia, Ukraine, Czech Republic, and yeah, realistically it can be made anywhere. Two main things you need to know about vodka to start off with is the Russians shot their vodka while the Polish sip their vodka. So traditionally Russians would shot it, and you know where you see in the films where they have a shot of it and they throw it into the fire, or they throw it off the bridge, or they throw it at each other. It's as far as that's the kind of the Russian kind of way of doing it. Kind of reminds me of like a mobster kind of feel to it. Like, yeah, you mean you'd seal the deal, seal the hit. I'm not sure whether I'm just stereotyping now, but you seal the hit with a shot of vodka and a gunshot or something like that. So Russians shot their vodka, Polish sip it. So how I remember this is when it comes to matters of vodka, Russians rush into things while the Polish take their time. So when it comes to matters of vodka, Russians rush into things. So Russians rush, shotting it, while Polish take their time. Polish sipping the vodka. So yeah, Polish taking their time, enjoying it. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to sort of enjoy this, and when you taste Belvedere, it's going to be an enjoyable taste. You're not really going to want to shot it. It's something you want to take your time with. So what goes into vodka? What are the inputs? The types of raw materials that goes into vodka, or really spirits in general. Spirits in general can be made out of two things. It's either made out of sugar or it's made out of starch. That's the bare bones of it. It's one or the other. The yin and yang of spirit production. So for sugar, we've got examples such as fruit and, well, we've got examples as grapes and sugarcane, but essentially that breaks down into basically fruit or veg. So when it comes to sugar raw materials, they can either be fruit-based or they can be vegetable-based. Those are the only two options. And obviously fruit, you've got a whole variety of fruits. They can be, my little crib sheet here, I've got grapes, which is, you can make a brandy out of grapes. You can make a couple things out of grapes. Obviously wine, but wine's not spirit. But yeah, as far as you can make a couple things out of grapes and vegetables. You've got sugarcane. Sugarcane's actually a vegetable, and this confused me when I first learned this, because you think sugarcane and you don't really think sugar. In theory, when it grows out of the ground in the form of a sugarcane, is classed as a vegetable. So yeah, that caught me off guard when I first learned that. So so that's the sugar stuff sorted. Now starch. So starch basically is broken down into grain, vegetables, or something known as inulin. Now inulin is kind of the wild card in the starch family, and that's mainly because it kind of really only exists in the agave plant in large quantities, to my knowledge. There might be other plants that it exists in, but agave is the main one. That's used for tequila, so we won't be talking about that a lot. But the other two, grain and vegetable meaning really potatoes. You're thinking potatoes, I guess there's other vegetables you could technically make it out of, but potato is the most common vegetable. And grain includes maize, barley, rye, and wheat. For this broadcast for Belvedere Vodka is a rye-based vodka, so it is starch are the raw materials that go into it. So that's essentially a breakdown of the raw materials. So yeah, continuing, Belvedere, we'll clear that is a clear rye-based vodka. If you've ever drank any Belvedere before in your life, then you'll know it is clear. It doesn't come coloured. Even the flavoured vodkas, to my awareness, are clear as well. So unless they've come up with a crazy new one. Rye vodkas are one of the most popular and tend to be smooth and fruity. So for Belvedere, there are slight tones of vanilla, I believe, in the mix, as it were. And what you'll find with rye vodkas, grain vodkas in general are a lot more smoother, a lot more fruity, because you can then play with different flavors with the grain and enhance the grain's flavors. Rye-based vodkas are they generally don't require as much distillation as vegetable-based vodkas, because rye produces less impurities during the fermentation process, which we'll talk about later. But all that is really because of the soiliness or the earthiness of certain vegetable-based vodkas, due to the fact it's made out of potato, you'll get a lot more impurities. I mean, within reason. It's not like an insane amount, but you do notice the impurity difference with a vegetable-based vodka, whereas something like Belvedere, which is a rye-based grain vodka, it's not as much, and thus doesn't require, although the distillation process at Belvedere is still quite thorough, it doesn't require as an intense process in order to come up with a premium quality product. So production processes of Belvedere. Yeah, cool. So production processes, these are the basic processes that occur in the life cycle of spirits in general. So we've got the process of the raw material, also known as the pre-distillation. Pre-distillation includes any modification to the raw material, such as the grain or the starch or the sugar, and any conversion. So basically these are just saying, right, modification does have to be modified in any way. Maybe you need to add a flavor or add a mixture of grains. Maybe it needs to be a certain genetically altered grain for whatever reason. Maybe you're going for a new flavor, whatever. However, you'd find that a lot of the time it's if they want to keep a quality product, they'll maintain the grain and they'll just crush it finely, which is one of the stages. So you've got modification, then you've got conversion, then you've got crushing and milling. So crushing and milling is just when you break it down to its smallest possible parts, and it's just increases the surface area and makes the next couple stages a whole lot easier. So the next stage, you've got alcoholic fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation is essentially it's used for it's when you add, so now you've got a mash. So what you did previously, you've got something called a mash, and a mash is kind of like a water plus crushed raw material mix. And then what you do here is that you add yeast to it, and you realistically let it simmer for a bit. Let it simmer with a bit of yeast, not too hot. Let the yeast kind of ride on it. Actually, no, that's wrong. You don't really add heat. You add water, you add yeast, and then they work to town on the sugar and the starch. And then after that, after you've got a cheeky little alcoholic mash, then what you do is you distill that. Now, the distillation process, essentially, it can be broken down into two types. You've got batch, or you've got continuous. We'll go into a little bit detail about that later, but distillation, all you've got to know is it gets heated, and what you're doing, you're heating the mash to get the ethanol, because the ethanol was made in the fermentation process. So fermentation process is water plus yeast plus whatever material, input material, sugar or starch. The yeast goes to work on the sugar. The starch produces carbon dioxide as well as ethanol, and a little bit more water as well. I think might get produced, but it's after that process goes down, you've got that mash left. Now that mash is ethanol mash, and you need to get the ethanol out of it. So you distill it, you heat it to a point where the ethanol evaporates to a different place, and then you cool it so then it condenses and you've got ethanol. So that's essentially it, and that's that process that I've just gone through there is this distillation, but the different parts, the two main parts of distillation are reflux and rectification. Now we won't really go into what they are because that's not really necessarily this, but all you know is that distillation itself can be broken down into reflux and rectification, depending on whether you're doing a continuous or doing a batch distillation process. So next stage we've got post-distillation operations. All that is when, if a lot of the time you'll find post-distillation operations with brands or spirits that have got a particular flavoring, or maybe aged or matured. So yeah, you've got maturation and aging periods for like whiskies and rums and that kind of stuff. Flavoring, Belvedere's got a range of flavors that it has for its brand, and it's that will be done in the last stage most probably. Any blending, so if it has to maybe blend two particular distillates together to get their unique flavor, then it'll do that then. And any finishing, like maybe it adds a color, or maybe it needs to dilute it because it came out a bit too strong. That's known as the finishing period. So that's what they do then. So still types. So before we mentioned that distillation can happen either as a batch distillation or continuous distillation. Those are the two main still types. The batch distillation is done in a pot still, and the continuous distillation is done in a column still. So easy way to remember that is continuous column, and then you've got, and that's distillation for when it's continuous, and then BP, batch pot, if you want to remember that, or PB, whatever. But continuous column always does for me, and then I just remembering batch distillation is a pot still. Reflux and rectification, those two parts of the distillation process I mentioned, are the process that determines the alcohol strength. So by heating it up and evaporating it, cooling it down, heating it up, evaporating, cooling it down, you're getting a stronger and stronger distillate, which is the thing that you're evaporating off and collecting at the end of it. That is becoming stronger and stronger, and that's what determines the alcohol strength of a beverage. When they've got that to a certain level, that's when they're like, okay, this is ready to ship out now because it's at this level of strength. If it's gone a bit over, maybe we can dilute, or maybe we need to dilute it because we're doing a liqueur and it needs to be a little bit less, but whatever. But that is how they determine how strong the alcohol is actually going to be. Belvedere distillation process itself, you'll find that most vodkas, they'll be at least distilled 2 to 3 times. The vodka that is known as Belvedere is distilled 4 times. It's not uncommon to be distilled 4 times. It's closely becoming like an industry standard, but it's this kind of extensive amount of distillation that generally produces a spirit with quite a smooth taste and quite a high level of purity. So that's why you'll find a lot more companies increasing the bar, going from a minimum of 2 to 3 to a minimum of at least 4 to 5 kind of thing. And I'm sure Belvedere's seems to be on the ball with their quality assurance, so they seem to know what they're doing when it comes to especially that high levels of purity. So continuation on the distillation process. A 4-step distillation process with additional chilled filtration results in high quality vodka with exceptionally smooth taste. The raw materials used for Belvedere undergo a very careful selection and a multi-step control process. So again, a lot of their quality assurance, I can imagine, will be on point. They're an international brand. They can't really afford to mess up like that. And I'm sure they're very picky about the different types of flavors that they require for their tasting notes when they're coming up with new flavors and doing their trial marketing. Belvedere is a result of combining years of experience in production of top quality spirits with the most recent technological advancements. So you'll find, if you've ever been to a plant, alcoholic beverage manufacturing plant, then you'll find that some of the kit they've got there is pretty insane, really. And you understand, because you're messing with something that is as equally enjoyable and as lethal as a spirit, you have to have quality controls. You have to have multiple layers of assessment in the products that you supply. So the reason why Belvedere is so good at what it does, because it doesn't cut the buck short anywhere. It spends what's needed to get the quality of product that is required from the market, and that works for everyone. So alcoholic content systems next. This is quite a relatively easy one. Most spirits by default, if you had to think of a default number, they're usually 40%, roundabout, like approximately 40%. If you want to get more specific, if you are the type of person to actually know, I like the devil in the detail. Most spirits, as in hard liquors, so we're talking the main 5 spirits of vodka, tequila, gin, whiskey, and rum. Most of them are 40% is the approximate, but 37.5, if you like devil in detail, it's actually 37.5, and that is in the UK only, though. They do by percentage, where usually in the US they do by proof, something called proof, which is you just usually double that number. So our 40%, so the two ways that the two alcohol systems that are in use, you've got the percentage by alcohol volume, which is kind of like it's really an international standard kind of thing. It's not just the UK that have percentage alcohol volume. It's an international standard really, but it's proof, which is kind of what, when it comes out of the distillation process, I believe it's proof that they sort of note down really first, and then they just half that to get the ABV. Or maybe it's either way. Yeah, maybe I can't remember which way around it is, but I just know that alcohol by volume is essentially half the proof, and proof is used mainly in America. So our Belvedere, which is 40 alcohol by volume, or ABV, is 80 proof in USA, and that's really all you need to know there. So next we've got the base of style, quality, and price. So this is just some general stuff on spirits. You've got the main styles of spirits. So I mentioned before, the main styles of spirits were vodka, gin, whiskey, tequila, brandy, and rum. Those are the main styles. I didn't have brandy in my previous statement of that, but brandy is technically a main style of spirit. You can be made from grapes. Got quality and price. So quality and price is basically the three different ones. You've got value, which is really inexpensive brands, mid-range, and you've got premium. And Belvedere is categorized as a premium spirit of the vodka style, vodka variety category, whatever word you'd like to insert there. Right. So next we've got service, glassware, and standard accompaniment. So with vodka, I'm sure we've all had a drink with vodka. We know really what it comes in. It can come on the rocks. I'm sure not many people order it on the rocks. A lot of people will probably order it in a cocktail of some sort, or just with vodka mixer, vodka Red Bull, Vodbull. But with Belvedere, you've got you can have Belvedere on the rocks. You could have it in a martini glass, in a cocktail, or as a vodka martini itself. You can have it in a coupe. You could have it in a coupe if you wanted to be a bit fancy with your vodka martini, or you could again have some sort of vodka based cocktail with Belvedere that would look good in a coupe. Coupe glass is kind of like, if you imagine a martini glass. A martini glass is like a straight. I'm sure we've all seen a martini glass. Martini glass has got straight lines. It's a straight cone. It's a cone, essentially, a cone on a stick. Now a coupe. Imagine that cone on a stick. You rounded off the bottom, so it was like a half. It was a bowl on a stick, like a little bowl on a stick. That is a coupe. So that's the difference between a martini glass and a coupe glass. One's got straight edges, one's got round. Essentially, that's how I see it. Shot glass. We've all done shots. Like I say, you probably wouldn't shot Belvedere because you mean it's a Polish vodka, and we all know that the Polish take their time with their vodka. And you got highball. Highball glass is usually what you'll come if you order like a double vodka and mixer. That'll be most probably a highball. So those are the basic kind of glasses. Other kind of glasses, won't go into too much detail, but you've got the next steps. You've got Collins, Irish Collins. Collins is usually for a Collins cocktail, or it could be for just a nice long drink. Irish coffee, that's usually for your hot beverage cocktails. Champagne flute for Bellinis and that the sort of like cotton mugs for Blue Blitzer. Blue Blazer even. Brandy glasses, obviously. Cordial glasses. Now, I've never actually even seen a proper cordial glass, but I do know they exist. And I think this is when back, I think it's like for aperitifs, and the sort like that. But I've never really served one, so I don't have a lot of information on that. Whiskey sour, that is the strangest whiskey sour glass I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry, I'm going from my notes here. But I know there is a special. Again, it's one of those things that it's weird because in the world you'll have things that you like people say all the time, but then when you find out like the how they got here or the previous meaning to them, you're like, no way. So cordial, we all know cordial, like lime cordial and orange cordial and that kind of stuff, but the word cordial itself is based on like some weird like aperitif kind of thing in the bartending world, where you had a cordial after your dessert to wash down it was a weird little ritual you did. And then whiskey sour, we all know I'm sure we all know the cocktail whiskey sour, or like amaretto sour, whatever. Sour is a type of cocktail of how it's made. But the whiskey sour, I didn't know there was a whiskey sour glass, and essentially it kind of just looks like a champagne flute, which is what really confuses me. I thought it would be like a special kind of rocks glass of some sort, but no, it just looks like champagne flute, champagne glass of some sort. So it's a bit weird. And then something called a Nick and Nora, which just looks like a goblet. Like I think Nick and Nora. I haven't done a bit of research. I haven't actually researched where that came from yet, but as soon as I find out, I will let the people know. But Nick and Nora is just essentially, it looks like goblet of fire kind of goblet, but just not as big. So yeah, so that's service glassware and standard accompaniment. Right, cocktails. So this is the part where I'm not going to break down the cocktails. I don't want to spoil the surprise. But if you were at our events, we'd go through these cocktails and we'd have probably a couple of challenges and stuff. And yeah, you get to drink them, get a little bit tipsy, have a good time. But main cocktails, vodka cocktails that people are aware of, people know of. You've got black and white Russians. You've got Bloody Marys, you've got Cosmopolitans, you've got Harvey Wallbangers, got Moscow Mules, you've got Sex on the Beach is on there, Woo Woo also on there. There's loads of vodka-based cocktails, and the thing is with vodka is that for Belvedere vodka, although they've got the different flavors, the vodka itself is it's smooth. It can have fruit tints, but it's quite a clear and smooth spirit. You can have a really good time with flavors. You can have a really good, if you pick subtle flavors, since the essence of vodka is so clean. Whereas gin you've got botanicals in there that don't mess with the flavor because it still tastes good, but you have to be a bit more careful with gin, because of the botanicals in gin. But with vodka, you'll find that since it's so clean and freshly cut in flavor, the opportunities to play around with your own flavors with it. If you know what you're doing, you take the time to actually research what goes well with that vanilla rye kind of tone. You can have a really good time with it. So I assume that back in the day, I don't have any trivia on these drinks yet already. I've got like my little book that I usually go for little bits of trivia, but nothing at the moment. I do know that Cosmopolitan was, this is the story, as far as they said that the Cosmopolitan, the magazine, it came from Cosmopolitan, the magazine, somewhere. They wanted a drink made for their reader. I think their reader class. I'm not sure if this is urban legends, but one of the things I've been told in my bartending career, they wanted a drink for their reading class that was like a feminine. It was the woman empowerment drink. And that they would attach their name onto it, and it would be great. So I can't remember the guy who came up with it, or if it was a guy or a girl. Someone came up with it, and it was like presented to Cosmo loved it, and that's why you kind of see, that's why it's sort of like the metropolis drink. You see, like, Sex and the City, love Cosmopolitans, girlies like to go and be sophisticated with Cosmopolitans, all that kind of stuff. That's because of that kind of. So that's kind of like a, I don't know, marketing stunt. I don't know what you would call it, whatever. It's just a bit of trivia. The other ones, I feel like there'll be a story behind white and black Russian. I feel like there is, like, I don't know, that just seems like, maybe there's some sort of, I don't know, race war, I have no idea. But the fact that there's got Russians involved in it, if we remember Russia, the Russians rush into things, we know that. And we've got black and white in there. And I'm as a black guy, I'm looking at that being like, right, okay, there must be some sort of story there, because that's too crazy. But anyway, I digress. Those are the main spirits that we'll be going through. So next, we've got legal and social health and safety issues. So this is just basically saying don't be an idiot. We've got social responsibility. You are aware that this is technically it's like a flammable liquid you're putting inside your body. So just be careful with it. You've got the main organisations in the UK that kind of keep an eye on this are Drink Aware and Portman Group. And Drink Aware keeps an eye on things from the standpoint of the public, letting you know particular things about alcohol, letting you know what the daily units are and all that kind of stuff, what the safe consumption of alcohol is. You've got for males they recommend 3 to 4 units a day. For females they recommend 2 to 3 units a day. So that's their recommendations. Again, it's adjustable based on body type, weight, height, all that kind of stuff, and general. But yeah, just don't be an idiot. Essentially, like realize you've got a responsibility to yourself and others around you for their health, safety, and just general. Just don't abuse it. And the thing is, it is very easy to abuse it, and that's why. I mean, you'll see. I mean, I'm sure we've all had a story of someone who drank too much and turned into a completely different person. It's just one of those things that people have come to accept. However, you've got it. I don't. When it comes to this kind of thing, I'm like, okay, I don't mind playing the game as long as I know what the rules are. And so it's just one of those things where you kind of got to know the rules of the game you're playing, and then you can play the game and have a good time. But it's also, once you know the rules, once you know what the rules are, then I feel like you have the right to sort of bend them, not break them, but bend them, because you've taken the time to check what the rules are. So for me, when I see 3 to 4 units a day, I look at that. I'm like, because I'm a man, 3 to 4 units a day. So essentially, that equates to a maximum of 28 units a week, and a minimum of 21 units a week. So I was like, okay, cool. So essentially, if I don't go out for the week, I can essentially get all my dailies in just one day. I mean, as far as that's, so I mean, as far as, although realistically, I'm not recommending that, by the way. That's not a recommendation, so no one come after me. However, because I feel like, oh, I've let, that's 3 to 4 a day. I know that I've taken the time to know that. Then okay, cool. Well, if I can figure that out, then so yeah. So me getting hammered on a Saturday night, then it's just, well, it's all right. I just took all my dailies in one. That's it. It's like vitamins. You just take them all in one day and you're good for the week. Also, no one do that. I'm not responsible for anything that happens like that. Anyway, I'll loosen up a bit now. I'm having a good time. So we've got the color. So yes, these are attributes. We've got attributes of vodka, not even vodka, of spirits in general, and then we'll go into particular Belvedere attributes. So spirits in general can be colorless, can be golden, can be brown, or other. So others, if they've put some funky new color in and make it super green or something. But majority of the time it's either colorless, golden, or brown, brown/black kind of thing. But it's really brown. Really, it's a dark brown. And then Belvedere, as we know, is a colorless spirit. So Belvedere vodka is colorless. Aroma, flavor, and intensity. So this is essentially what you're smelling and what you're tasting. So we've got light, medium, and pronounce. Light, medium, pronounce. So for all intents and purposes, Belvedere is a medium spirit. We're not going to go too much into this because it can get quite technical, quite fancy, a bit amphy-fancy. But Belvedere is in the middle. It's not too pronounced and it's not too light. You can taste. You can get a good, if you know what you're tasting, you get a good taste for the flavor and the aroma, especially the vanilla that comes through. But yeah, it's medium. It's balanced in the middle. So fruit and flavor characteristics continued. The different kind of flavors we can have are fruity and floral. We've got vegetable in there. We've got grain. We've got spicy, oaky, herby even. So yeah, spice and herb are kind of like, spicy and herby are kind of like, right, okay, herby, if you see it as herb, is if it's like just herby, just not, and then think of spicy as like hot herby. That's how I think of it. So hot herby is essentially what spicy is. Oaky is like a woody kind of feel to it. You can get spirits with like a woody kind of feel. Grain obviously is grainy. Vegetable, and then you got fruity / floral, because depending on what's being used, it could be something that's a flower scent or a fruit itself. Belvedere is a rye-based spirit with vanilla, which means it has fruity characteristics, which we already discussed that. Other stuff to think about is how alcoholic it is. So we talk about ABV, the body of it, whether it's sweet or salty or sour, or that kind of thing. As far as Belvedere, it's 40% ABV, roughly, approximately, and then we've got a full-bodied, slightly sweet. It's a slightly sweet alcoholic spirit, and that's because of the vanilla tones that gives that element of sweetness. The finish is kind of like when you taste something and you can keep on tasting it, or whether you can't. So it's so simply to put, you've got different categories. You've got short or long. So you can either have a short finish where as soon as it's kind of like you've put your glass down, the taste is finished, or a long finish where you've put the glass down and the taste is still going. That's how I sort of break it down. So you take a sip, put the glass down, is the taste still there? It might be lingering for a while. Okay, cool. That's relatively quite short. If you drink it and then put the glass down, and is the taste still there? Yeah. And then count maybe a couple of seconds. Can you still taste it? Like, yeah, that's a long finish. And then you've got simple or complex. So simple is when you've got maybe the one or two. Well, I'd say really one taste tone. But then complex is when you've got multiple taste tones and you can sense multiple things going on. So Belvedere's got a long and complex finish, due to the fact that it's got a vanilla tone, and that keeps on going. Actually, I'm not sure with complex. Maybe I might change that. I think that's. Well, the thing is, with this kind of thing, it might have a long and simple. I have to taste one right now because I forget this sometimes, because sometimes it changes. I feel like I might be saying it from one of the flavored ones, but I'm trying to think of what the main one. I'll have to come back to that one. Here in my notes I've got complex finish, but I think I might have been tasting a different flavour of Belvedere, not the Belvedere original. But that's the example we're doing. So cool. So that's basically the little promo for what I'm doing. This will be the part at our event where if we hadn't already made cocktails, we'd start making cocktails now, and then this would be the part where different groups would go off and would do some live drawing, do cocktail classes, and probably grab some food, and then we'd come back to do the second part, which would be to learn Polish, and then we'd play some games, have some fun. But I'm going to cut it here for this broadcast now. So this is just a little taster, basically just to hear what my own voice sounds like recorded, to be honest, because I just figured that it'd be a pretty good marketing channel to get comfortable with. Just hearing being able to present it maybe online as well as in person, and people like the information. That I can do a couple other ones. So this is going to be a pep talk that promotes responsible drinking. Realistically, it's promoting alcohol awareness, because the more you know about the brands per se, but really the spirits behind the brands, then the more I'm always a big believer on the more information you have, the smarter the decisions you can make. So although I'm not saying that by knowing that it's a rye-based vodka with vanilla tones, will cut down on drinking we'll cut down on irresponsible drinking or anything crazy like that. I'm just saying, the more people that know about alcohol in general, surely that education in people will allow them to have a higher respect for how it's made. That's kind of how I see it, because I don't really. I enjoy a good drink. I love getting drunk. It's all awesome, but I can't see myself ever really getting to a point where I can't function because I've drank too much. Because it's got to a point where I kind of know, and I've got to a level where I know so much about the spirits and how they're made and stuff, that you find a newfound respect for it, of how it's made and how it got here and the marketing behind it and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, I don't know, this might be the point where it promotes responsible drinking, which if it does, that'll be amazing. But it's kind of just at the moment, I'm just exploring potential marketing channels. So if anyone who hears this, I'm going to post this on LinkedIn, and might put this on YouTube as well, and probably Facebook. Maybe put a link on that Twitter, see what happens. Anyone who does hear this, then just drop a comment. It's quite an informal kind of flex, although realistically, it's very chilled out what I'm doing, because I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. But thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And please, if there is a place for you to leave comments wherever you found this, wherever you heard this, then please do. It will greatly benefit me. It will greatly help me out with what I'm trying to figure out here. And I'm a big believer on feedback and reiteration of ideas and stuff, and rehashing stuff to get a better thing at the end. Kind of like the distillation process, the continuous distillation of my thoughts. So but not 4 times filtered though. I don't know, maybe it's 4 times filtered. I don't know, maybe that is. But as far as you can feel free to message me if you want and give me some thoughts on what's going on, or if you can recommend anything just don't be a douche about it. Just be like, yo, by the way, thought it might be good to do this. I'm like, yeah, cool. And I'd rather something like that than people being like, oh man, this was crap, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, mate, you're not helping the situation. You're just wasting your time and mine. So cool, I understand this might not be for everyone's liking, but if it is to your liking, or you feel like, oh, this could be tweaked, then just drop me a message, man. Just let me know and see what. Let me just see what you think and all that. But okay, I'm out. I'll see you later. This has been an official pep talk by Peps, also known as Peter Resson, founder of Fortuna Group. yeah, cool. So have a good time. Peace.